Hey and welcome to a new video. We are talking about Volskaya Foundry today, and we have a cool replay that we got from masterleague.net. It's Team Liquid against the Monkey Menagerie that was played on Friday in the HGC Europe. We're gonna go ahead and start this. I want to talk about Volskaya because it's one of the newer maps, and we haven't really talked about it yet. I have a couple of maps, I think that games that I played on it on the channel, but not really about strategy and what's going on the map. First off, we have on the blue side Malf, Sergeant Hammer, which is now after the Western Brawl, Mid-Season Brawl, more popular on this map. Tassada, Thrall, and Murden on Team Liquid. We have Blaze, Johanna, Deckard, Cassia, Tracer on the Monkey Menagerie battlefield. So we have two counters to Hammer, basically, and Cassia and Tracer, who should focus on Hammer. I'm not going to talk too much about the lineups specifically, but we're going to obviously see that how good it is. One thing that I also want to point out is that this is a prime example of why you should never give up on a game in Hero League. This is obviously pro play, so it's a little bit higher than what we would expect in our games. But it still shows you that no game is ever lost. Team Liquid will fall behind early on, rather heavily. But the late game heroes would assume that, like Tassada's early game is not super strong. Twilight Archon on 20 is very, very good. Murden only gets stronger late game. Same goes for Hammer. On the other side, Kayn gets very, very strong late game, I think. Tracer, honestly, I think from level 10 on she stays pretty much the same. The reload talents are a little bit, dependent on how good you are, but she doesn't get a huge spike in my opinion. And then Johanna and Blaze just get more tankier. I think that's the gist of it. So we reached the 1 minute mark, which means that, as you can see, both teams are immediately heading down to the camp. So for Volskaya, this is something that a lot of people, I think, don't understand, is how important these camps are. If you have more items than your enemy, you can even fight down a talent tier. For example, like 12 versus 13 or something like that. If you have like clearly more items, and I mean like you have 2 turrets and like the healing camp, you might be able to engage into a fight on the platforms, even if you're talent down, because they're so strong. Some streamers say like the turrets are little rainers, and that's pretty much what they are. They're just auto-attacking anything in sight, which means if you're fighting around the control points, they're very strong because they just attack heroes. There are no minions around the points, so that's something very important. As you can also see, the solo lane on Volskaya is bottom. I've seen other people not do bottom. They just put the solo lane on top. I think it's something that the pros don't consider doing that much. I personally think top lane is much more gankable because there's like approaches over like turrets and jumping over walls and stuff like that. Bushes, sorry. And now before we see that the next camp is being attacked. And it's also like their solo lane of the Monkey Menagerie came up here to fight around this. So you can see they're prioritizing the camp very heavily. Another reason why they take this at 1 minute and 1 minute straight is that, as you can see, it's respawning in 1:30. And as you can also see, in 30 seconds, the objective will spawn. And then it will take, I think, 30 seconds until it's active. So you have about like 30 seconds, give or take, maybe a little bit more, and there's another camp up here that you can take. So if you play it perfectly, you probably have like 2 turrets and a healing camp, which can be very, very, very good if you want to fight around the tree glove. Okay, I was actually wrong. So it spawned the mornings at 2:30 and it spawns at 3 minutes. So the objective at 3 minutes, meaning you want to have as many items at 3 minutes as you can. So you have 1 minute 12, so it doesn't fully coincide with it. If you're very quick, you have a little bit bigger window because it takes about a minute, I think, to take the tree glove. Meaning, if you perfectly time it, as you can see here, you can actually fight around it again and take another item. So this is very, very pro level, I want to say synergy or synchronized dancing, basically. As you can see, solo lane is fighting, mid lane is being pushed, and then we have 2 people pushing or taking this camp here, while Monkey Menagerie already took the camp. I want to say normally taking a camp earlier than your opponent is most of the time worse, because they will still take care of it. That being said, the siege camp here, is it called siege camp? Yeah, it's the siege camp on Volskaya is not amazing. It doesn't do great DPS, like it has 26 DPS. If you compare it to like a minion, the minions have more DPS actually, like more attack damage. So it's kind of like a little minion. Not great, but not bad either. That being said, I think they don't do reduced damage to buildings, so they're a little bit better than minions, but they're not as good as the siege giants because these also splash, so take out minion waves quicker. This is very common as well. One team just takes control over the point, and then everybody does what they can to get to level 7. And then let's just get rid of this. Once you're level 7, the full fight breaks out, basically. That's very, very common as well. As you can see, again, in 20 seconds, the camp spawns. So in the mid-season build, we saw, I think MVP Black especially, or Genji, being a master of taking these while fighting around the points. This is very common. You just stay on the point. It's mostly the tanks in pro play, but I think healers can also do it. You don't want to have your assassins on here that much because you still need the wave clear to not fall behind in XP. And this is again very common. Now we have an issue though for Team Liquid because as you can see, their solo lane is bottom, Tasada is top, cleaning up the mercenaries here. And now we have 3 players that are very much entangled here in the 5-man push or position of Monkey Menagerie. Great engage into everybody. Johanna and Blaze stun everybody. So this is very good, but doesn't really show like, you know, specifics around Volskaya. That being said, now they just take it, which is unusual. Like normally you do fight around level 7, but there's a little bit more back and forth. That being said, now the second part of Volskaya comes into play. So you have the first tree glove, and I see a lot of people do a lot of different things. Before the tree glove was buffed, so basically when it was very weak and it didn't have armor and the damage input if we had 2 people in it, a lot of people went bottom and cleared bottom because bottom was the third one spawning, or is always the third one spawning, meaning if you opened bottom in late game when you were able to get the tree glove protector on the third platform, you would be able to go in here and clear this and basically do a little bit of a Dragonshire push where the bottom lane is the one that you want to go to. On some maps, you will have the thing that nobody goes in a certain lane. For example, Volskaya doesn't have a lot of people going top lane to finish the game. It's more bottom, and the same goes for Dragonshire. On the other hand, for Tomb of the Spider Queen, most people finish top because it's the boss lane, so you open the map there first. So what's now happening is that the tree glove is buffed. It's not amazingly strong, like it doesn't take keep wall on the first one. If you defend it with like a couple of people, it doesn't like finish everything off. And also sorry for if you hear any background noises here at the moment, I just have the windows open because it's freaking warm. So yeah, you take out the middle wall, and you don't even take care that much of the well, for example. You could take it out, but it's going to be 3 cycles until you have mid again. So it's always mid, and then it's top, and then it's bottom. It's always the same cycle. So you will spend like 20 minutes before this comes back online. So this well isn't that much of importance. It's also a little bit in an awkward way. It's because it's like relatively close to the behind the tower here. So taking this out can be dangerous if the enemy team is flanking you. For these ones, this one is pretty easy to take out, and then I think this one also is like very much exposed once you take the top tower out of the way. And that's exactly what Monkey Menagerie does. They take out the front wall here, but as you can see, the tree glove still has like 50% of its life. And now the next focus is the well. For Team Liquid, they only have basically Sergeant Hammer doing damage, so when Monkey Menagerie pushes in here with 4 people, they actually have quite a bit of a problem, because as soon as Monkey Menagerie just focuses Hammer and she has to go back a little bit, you can see that it basically means they have to give up everything. But so again, just to explain, this is the play to the top here is because they take out the well and try to take out the fort. If you take out the fort and the second tree glove spawns, you have a direct way to the keep if you win a fight. That being said, This is honestly just a setup for the next fight. You don't want to necessarily have the fort or go for the fort. It's not super important to get the fort. That being said, again, the early game is more favored towards Monkey Menagerie, and now you see also the items being used because they weren't used on the Tree Glove Protector spawn spot. Now when Monkey Menagerie tries to disengage, they're putting down their items as well as Team Liquid putting down the items to try to save Thrall. Doesn't work. And now more brawling. So yeah, using the Tree Glove is not only about doing building damage. Like I've seen a lot of people just doing like towers and then running away. It's also about setting up your next success. In this case, taking the well is really important because now the next fight around the top Tree Glove and also around the healing camp means that Team Liquid doesn't have a well anymore. So if you can snipe a well in the first rotation with your Tree Glove, it's really strong and will help you be more successful. Again, camp is up, and that's something that in this game it doesn't show that much because both teams, in my opinion, don't do the best job of focusing on this. But Monkey Menagerie now takes it because, again, it's set up for the next one, and then Team Liquid does the same with their camp. And they're a little bit lucky because if Monkey Menagerie was a little bit quicker, they would totally invade this and try to take it. But now they just get bumped back and they're a little late, so they can't really get it. Monkey Menagerie will now take their camp as well. Or at least they should. I thought they would as well. But as they're level 10 versus 9, they also try to get a little bit more advantage. You want to force a fight as if it's possible, because you have heroics. So you want to just kill more people and get an advantage out of that. That being said, Team Liquid will get 10 with this minion wave pretty much. And they decide to take this camp here. The second time that you take it, it's not really that impactful because, again, you have the zone up here. So even if this is going uncontested and nobody is taking care of this, at some point the enemy team will just arrive here because they want to contest your spot. As said, more items. So if you look at it, Team Liquid has a turret, and that's it pretty much. And Monkey Menagerie has the healing beacon. Is it called healing beacon? I forget what it's called. Let's have a look. The biotic emitter, there you go. They have that, and another turret. Again, you just take this basically because it's there. It doesn't have a huge impact, especially in the second phase of this fight on this map, because they don't do that much damage, but also they don't push that well. That being said, Liquid doesn't have a lot here anymore, so if this is not contested, it easily takes out the fort. So that's good for Monkey Menagerie. So second fight around this is normally a little later because, again, generally speaking, the first Tree Glove is fought for a little longer, until level 8 most of the time, level 7, level 8. Liquid wasn't able to contest it, so now it's very early. Normally you will see fights around the second one at level 13. That being said, in this case, Monkey Menagerie has the level advantage, and they want to soak XP, but they don't really do this. They know that they still can fight here, I think, and they also have items, so as you can see, they already used one, I think. Yeah, they used a turret somewhere. Actually, no, they didn't use a turret. They used a turret earlier. They only had one turret and one healing beacon. So Alex here is out of position, and this is kind of bad for them because Monkey Menagerie wanted to get level 13 for sure, but also giving a Liquid XP now is kind of bad because it makes them catch up much quicker. That being said, great engage into Eternal. They take him out. Meridian also pretty low, but they get a counter kill. And now you can see again turrets being placed. I think the Liquid one is a little bit too defensively. I would have thought it the same height as this. That being said, I think they were a little surprised by the engage on the Thrall, or with the engage on the Thrall, and therefore they couldn't really do anything against this. So it's 4-4 now. And again, this is very typical. You put the tank on the spot and he just stands there and tries to get as much XP or zone progress as possible. MM now is 13. so they will have an advantage. That being said, the camp is respawned, so I feel like this could be a potential play for Liquid, or should be a potential play. The cool thing about Volskaya, and why I think it's also popular or amongst the pros, is that the contestation of the point can be pretty long. So you have situations where, again, Liquid has now like 55%. Now MM takes it a little bit, so Liquid goes and farms a little bit. So it's not like things are just taken, which makes it a little forgiving if you have to soak up XP, or if you just want to head back and soak some HP and mana back up at the Nexus. Again, the fight around this is really important for a lot of teams. The Biotic Emitter can be very powerful in these fights, and nobody takes it. But Liquid got level 13 pretty late, so now the fight was still in favor of MM. And again, another item for Monkey Menagerie. So now it's getting a little bit out of hand for Team Liquid. They actually took the camp here as well. So now we have two emitters, and we still have a turret on Liquid. That being said, they're also on the same talent tier, and Murden is spawning in 11 seconds. So you would expect Team Liquid to try to contest this again. But now this comes into play. The fort in the well is down, so it's a little difficult for Liquid to actually get onto the point, because you basically have to walk through enemy territory here. They have now a camp that's pushing with them. That's really good for them to have a little bit of backup. And now Murden is back, but it's also already 90%. So it's really important that Sport Billy goes on the spot very quickly, and MM knows that. So they will focus on Murden very quickly as soon as he tries to get onto this. Good zoning by Alex and the fire, and then Liquid again. Sport Billy just goes on here. Earthquake a little defensive, I think, but pretty good radius. And then again, Cassia with the great play here, getting Tassada. And again, it's important that Billy went onto the spot, because otherwise Monkey Menagerie would have gotten the Protector earlier even already. Unfortunately for Liquid, this also means that with the loss of Tassada, the protection for Hammer is not as good as it was before. And while she gets Tracer here with a very good combo, you lose the Protector again. And now you will see what happens. You would think, like, normally on Dragonshire, for example, it's the same approach. With other objectives, you normally want to go keep wall, or even keep. It's like 12 minutes in though, so the Protector is not really strong. And while you do have a talent lead in a second, you will see most of the teams will not go for the top here. The reason is, again, third Tree Glove zone is going to be in the bottom. So that means that you want to have bottom as an advantage. It's very uncommon for Volskaya to end right now, and the lineup of Monkey Menagerie doesn't have that much core damage. Cassia and Tracer are okay, but it's not like super amazing. There's no Sonya, no Illidan, or whatever like that. And they're also fighting into a Hammer. So if you attack the core over the keep here, Hammer just going to shoot on you all the time, and it's very difficult to get that. So what Monkey Menagerie does here is they take out the fort, and then once that happens, I didn't want to do that, sorry for that. Zoom out. Once they have the fort, and that goes very quickly, they get a little bit more XP, and they also take the well out now. It's not a main priority. Like, I wouldn't go into there if you have like very little HP left on your Tree Glove. But now this is the play that you should be doing with in your games. You should try to get the next objective secured. And this happens by taking out the fort here, and again, most importantly, taking out the well. So the next fight Team Liquid wants to take here for this zone, they have to go back to this well. And that's pretty difficult, because it's a long way. So again, just reiterate, if you take the first product here, the first Tree Glove out of the factory, you take out the wall normally, because the wall gives you a little bit of XP. It got nerfed, but it's still worth it. Then you move on, take out the wall here, and take out the well, if it is possible and safe to do so. For example, if you only have the 2 people in a Tree Glove and the enemy team is like defending with 5 people, you can still try to snipe this, but it's not really important. Then, like, don't die for it. But it's important because you set up the second tree glove, as happened here. The tree glove was taken. It already didn't have to do anything here. It skipped entirely the keep wall. You just move down here. You can take out the fort if it gives you a little bit of more XP. But again, this is a side objective, and the main objective is this here. Take out the well, take out the fort, and then with the third tree glove, which is like minute 15 approximately, maybe a little bit later, meaning it has damage, so it can go through this keep and go to the core. So if you can take the keep wall here, it's really good as a setup for the third tree glove. And that's exactly what they try to do. Monkey Menagerie, they're so far ahead with their talents and the items that they had. This time, nice cleanse by, or nature's cure by Nurok. And Team Liquid actually gets to defend. And again, fighting into a hammer and into Earthquake, it's very difficult. So it's not unusual that they can't get it. That being said, Liquid is not 16 yet, so Monkey Menagerie, as I said, are smart. They go for the next objective. In this case, that is the mercenary camp, so that Liquid doesn't have a turret. So this is something that I don't understand. Like maybe I'm just not good enough, but I feel like trying to get this keep is super risky. Sure, Liquid is not 16, but you're still fighting into the hammer. And you use most of your heroics, like you have 2 heroics on cooldown, and sure, Liquid also had their heroics done, so maybe that's the reason that they say like, hey, Tranquility's out, and like Earthquake's out, and like Archon is out. But I think still it's very difficult to like siege into a siege tank. So I thought that was a weird decision making here. Especially because their siege heroes are not that great. Blaze is okay, but it's not amazing, the oil spill. That being said, they use a tower here. So then they get it. I felt it was very risky, so I probably wouldn't advise this. That being said, obviously they're also on voice comms, and you know they play together for like, I don't know, 50,000 hours a week, so they might know what they're doing. Team Liquid does a good job of keeping this alive as much as possible, especially Hazuops like uses like shields all the time, and then they do get a keep, but they also lose Alex. So I guess the trade is fine. That being said, now Liquid is 16 and they do exactly what they should be doing. They strive to do all the camps. So Liquid immediately goes across the side and then goes for this. And as you can see, this is actually pretty dire. Like, I've been in these games where like they take all of my forts and they already take a keep and they're 2 levels ahead. So realistically, like the tree level will spawn in like 2.5, 3 minutes or something like that. That's enough time to get level 20 for Monkey Menagerie. So I know a lot of people that would be like, okay, this is unwinnable, I'm just going to be AFK in base. And this game will show you that you don't have to be this negative about it. Again, this is pro play, but a lot of the things apply to every Heroes of the Storm game. So again, these camps are really important. I think Monkey Menagerie taking this was a mistake. They knew Liquid was invading here. They saw them coming in with Sport Billy. So I probably would have advised to take the healing camp. That being said, 4 and 5, if they get ganked here, or creepjacked, as they said in Warcraft 3, it could have been pretty messy as well. So they don't do it, and Liquid gets a little bit of a setup. And as you can see, Liquid does the right thing. They take this objective, but they also take the objective that I talked about earlier. They take out the well, so now it's an even footing. No team has any wells here. Sorry, here. Liquid doesn't have one, and Monkey Menagerie doesn't have one. Now it gets to a phase in this game where it goes a little weird and wild. Monkey Menagerie will get level 20 earlier, but it's a little bit to go for them. So I feel like they are a little scared right now to throw the game. And what happens is that they have these fights here where they stand together and back and then try to get one pick. And I think it's smart, but it also seems that they're very like afraid of actually committing to things. And as you can see, like Johanna is kind of like here. Now the bunker is like rather defensively, meaning that they will not get the item. And they don't have talent advantage anymore, only level advantage. So I think being defensive makes sense because that's what pro players do. They just go for the level 20. And And I don't know if that's applicable for everybody of us, because in Hero League you just go and fight. So in this situation you probably would have ult in here. If you're a Hero League team, you just fight until somebody dies, I guess. I don't know if it's the smarter approach. I feel like Monkey Menagerie still has the better lineup at this point. And they just want to like save it over until the level 20, and I'm not sure if that's the super correct way to play this. But again, I'm not a pro player, so it's probably what they're doing is smarter, because they, again, play 50,000 hours a week. So they played out all the different scenarios and how they apply to winning the game. So, Liquid now has the issue that they really want this protector, because otherwise this will probably go core, and that's not very, very good. That being said, MM is also getting level 20 very soon, and they're pressuring top and might even get some keep damage. And if Liquid is not careful, they might actually get the keep and then be level 20 much quicker. So now it's a little weird, because Thrall left this point to fight as well, because they can still, like, Liquid can still get a fight here, which is preferable to them, because enemy is not 20. Alex is a little bit out of position here, and this is the fight that they want. And I feel like this is one of the situations where MM, if I was MM, I would have taken the fight around the camp rather than this like half-hearted in the middle of nowhere situation. Well, if I only get one kill, there's like not that much of a gain for me. But if the enemy team gets a kill, they get the protector. So Liquid knows that, and they go straight after them here. But Liquid doesn't have the most mobile heroes, and especially their assassin is very, very immobile. So Hammer can't really catch up on MM, meaning that they can't follow them. And it also means that MM can take the control point here, because they know they're going to be level 20 soon. Sport Billy gets spotted by the minions. So I took this replay. I didn't watch the games live. I just watched the replay yesterday, and I thought like this is a really good game. Like it shows a lot of the good things about Volskaya. And now it's going to get super weird. So Monkey Menagerie doesn't take this camp here. And they will not take it until, like, I don't think they will actually ever take it again. And it's so weird because, first of all, they're gonna get the advantage on talent, but this is also free. Like, Team Liquid, there's no way that they're gonna invade here, because they're already worried about the point here. So this is a pretty safe play, I think. And MM also has vision on mid a little bit, so it's kind of weird that they don't take it. But they just focus on the tree glove zone now. And it works for them, but it's kind of weird how it plays out. Liquid has like only one turret, and Monkey Menagerie doesn't have any. But the one turret, 19 versus 20, like I said, if you have multiple items and you're like one tier down on 12 versus 13 or something like that, I think you can take the point. But with one item and like Storm Talents down, it probably won't work. But Liquid is afraid, because it's a 70-minute tree glove that can take core. Like if they get like a pick or two on Liquid, it's pretty much core at this point. Liquid has a little bit of a push up here, which will trickle in a little bit of XP. Here's a tower that they can still take with the camp. But other than that, there's nothing easy to take. So they have to kind of fight around this, because they don't want to give up the tree glove. So Spot Billy is contesting this. I think this is a very good spot for the turret. It shoots a little bit on the zone. I think the range is probably like something like this or so. Maybe a little bit higher, like maybe like this. So it shoots where you want to fight, because you don't want to fight down here where the healer has to go all the way in so that they can flank you. Spot Billy is pretty self-sufficient here with Meridian, so he can be a little bit further down. But I think the turret is in a good point. Unfortunately for Liquid, it's already at 99% in overtime. So they at no point can give up this point again and not contest it. And Hammer is so popular now after Gen G showed it, because she's really good at defending these points, right? Because she just can't stand here and you have to fight into her. And that's what you don't want to do against the Hammer. as you can see, like, that's something that I find funny as well, because Ramabola is a really good player, and he knows that walking against this grain here is going to take him ages. It's super difficult. It takes very, very long. So the easy way is to walk down here, walk over here, get boosted up here, and then walk here, right? But because so much is happening and he's trying to also tank a couple of things, use his abilities, he just gets caught here, like basically moonwalking into the wrong direction. So Liquid wins this fight 19 versus 20 in a lane where the catapults are pushing at 99% of the protector. So now they can relatively easily get the Tree Glove and level 20 as well. And this is where the game goes just like, oh, actually they take the point. It's very interesting. They take the camp. Billy gets interrupted. So if you attack somebody, like with Tracer, for example, they can't. There's like a second channel, or like maybe 0.5 seconds to pick it up. So because Tracer attacked Murden, he couldn't pick up the item, and as Murden can't attack as quickly as Tracer, he couldn't attack her and prevent her from picking up the item. So that's also a technique that you have to keep in mind. You have to be able to take the item, but also not receive any damage. As I said here, the camp took the tower, but as you can see, like for the amount of time that it's been left alone, like it doesn't even take a fort, and that's why I feel like these camps are pretty bad. Not like it's not that if you take them you have a disadvantage, but they're just not, amazing. Both supports here go into the Tree Glove. That's another thing that I think a lot of people ask themselves, like who should be in the Tree Glove. Most of the time, from what we can see, it's one support and one assassin, or one support and the tank, and then the rest just behind the Tree Glove. In this case, Sport Billy is pretty survivable. Arcana is the only damage dealer, so they need him out here. And Eternalist also has quite a bit of self-sustain, so they keep these three out, and then just the two supports go in, and you have to put two in, otherwise the Tree Glove has not enough damage. Nice dodge by Sport Billy here. I think it was dodged. And then Decker Kane gets killed. And this is where, like, I want to say, Liquid, again, a nice comeback. Like they were back or behind all the time now, and now they're like 20 versus 20. But you would assume that this game is now over because they have Tree Glove at minute 19. But this game gets a little wonky in the end. So don't take this too much as this is how I should play Volskaya, but also that you should never give up on a game. So they got to pick on the healer on Liquid, and now they kind of are in a situation where Eternals, I think he doesn't want to use Earthquake. I think that's a misclick here. But what happens is that he will just swap out Tassada. Tassada uses Archon to get into Twilight Archon because they want to siege core and end the game here. But then, like, I don't know what happens, but it's like a weird fight, and then Archon will just like expire here in a second. So they even get a second pick. So you think with Hammer and like 5 people alive, it's easy core, right? But then Archon expires, and there's like a huge minion wave here because the minion wave from mid and top spawn there. Crosby survived somehow. And now Kane is respawning in 2 seconds. The Tracer escapes with like a sliver of health. We have Orbital BFG that doesn't hit anything at the moment. Another use of it, this time much better. And now Liquid gets scared, and they don't commit to this. They have 34 seconds until somebody like Blaze revives, but they still feel they can't do this anymore. And Liquid now loses Billy because Nurok is like in the bottom here, and then like this is typical pro play, which is not on the highest level of levels. Like MVP Black or Dignitas would just like go core. There'd be no question. Like they would just like kill the core, and that's it. And then Tracer dies, and you're like, okay, this is now when the core dies. Like this is going to be the situation where the core dies, right? And there's even a catapult that made it all the way up from the blue base here and stuff. And now Liquid gets more scared, and they're just gonna leave. They're just gonna run away here. And it's such a weird game. Obviously with Bunker now back and everything, it's a little difficult for them to fight into this. But they just give up. The core is on 35%, and Liquid just like, nope, we're out of here. It's a very funny game, honestly. Like the ending of this had huge entertainment factor for me. Hazu just takes out some more buildings, or nearly takes it out, and then as you can see again, this was like on its way forever, and it doesn't do anything. So don't count on these to win you the games. Okay, back to the game plan. 21 versus 22. We know the next zone is going to be in the middle. That's just how it goes. Again, middle, top, bottom, and then it starts over with middle. And this one, at 20, like 4 minutes or whatever it's going to spawn, this will just finish the game. Like there's no way that you can, even if you have like everybody's alive, you won't hold this against the core. So taking items is really important again, to prepare everything. Suhazu scouts if they're doing it. And they don't. Also for taking this, you should take out the little dude first, and then take out the turret, because the little dude is healing the turret. That should be obvious, but I see people doing it the wrong way, so always take out the mechanic first and then the turret. And this is also like such a typical situation for this game, where Twilight Archon is popped because Alex is out of position, and then there's like a great stay a while and listen, and like Macke nearly takes out Eternal, and like there's so much fighting going on, but it's like around the correct item, right? Like the turret is important, but while this was going on, MM took actually the healing pulse, or the bionic emitter again, so they have another good item here that is now popped as well. Storm Shield is popped, everybody's fighting. Nurok is like in here. There's again the orbital BFG going towards the tower. There's already one turret down. There's like stuff happening. So this is not at all how you would expect pro play to run, because like there's no organized thing going on here. Like Liquid is like unsure, should we go like core here? Should we try to get the tree glove? The Archon is again nearly to expire. He's blinded, so you can't actually get the Archon. And then like MM is trying to just like find Hammer somewhere. It's like a crazy game, honestly. Like the end is really fun. So yeah, I think what should have happened is basically just like go for the point with the items that you had on Liquid. And MM had the issue that they lost their map pressure, like because of the bot keep being down as well. They could have taken this camp. They had the emitter, so fighting into Liquid was probably a possibility. That being said, putting pressure down here for Liquid is kind of smart, because that means that MM also has to clear like a couple of waves, because like this wave will come in here and the next wave will come in here, and they have to clear it, because 2 or 3 catapults will probably always win against one catapult that's spawning like that. So Liquid moving in. And now you fight into Hammer, which can be difficult, which I understand is probably the reason that MM wanted to fight here, but objective fighting can be important. So this is also a good turret spot, because it blocks a little bit of the ways of moving around here. So great route. If you didn't see this, Blaze kind of like teleported his stun into Arcana. So Nurok put the root down immediately, so he's get rooted and the stun is intercepted. Sport Belly just gets deleted. And now you're thinking, wait a minute, why is Team Liquid only with 4 people here? Well, that's because Eternal is just walking down here and trying to go core. And they see this now, and Macke is leaving, and Cassia is already on her way back as well. And then suddenly Eternal is on the core, and like people are on here, and this is contested, and it's Spender is the support, and nobody really knows what's going on. And Eternal just like goes for core with Earthquake, and then there's the orbital BFG, and then there's another BFG, and then Neuro comes in and it's 2% core, and he gets like 1% core, one shot, sleeping, everybody's asleep, but then they wake him up, and that's GG. So the ending of the game is a little bit chaotic, but also shows you that no matter what position you are, you can still win a game. Or you can also look at it the other way. If you're Monkey Menagerie, no matter how much control you had over a game, you can still lose it. Quick look at stats. As you can see, Monkey Menagerie had a better early game, which led to them having more kills. But overall, it didn't give them huge advantages over the team, especially because the late game kills and late game situations helped Team Liquid catch up in XP. Also interesting for me, like Hazuops did the most soaking of XP because later on with his Psion Fusion and the double storms, Psionic Echo gives you a lot of wave clear. And also we have 27 stacks of Vengeful Root, so this little tree was the one who could be and doing damage. That's pretty much how Volskaya works. I see in pub games a lot of times the objectives are focused, but like the mercenaries are not. And that's something that you should be following up. Like if you are a hero that can take the mercs, or if you have somebody on your team that can take a mercs and you're a support, ping them or chat with them and say like, hey, we should take this at minute 1. Like you should take these as soon as they're up, and then every time they're up again, because again, they can be super impactful. In this game, it didn't show that much because the fights were a little chaotic, and Hammer has that weird role where she has to be the focus point for everybody on the enemy team. But you saw how oftentimes the pro players like took these, and if pro players do something over and over again, you should do the same thing for sure, because they know how to play this game. Other than that, I will show you the talents so you can have a look at what pro players are playing. I think there's some variants on some builds, but obviously for the Hammer fans, that's probably how everybody plays them at the moment, or plays her at the moment. And I think Kane is also very interesting because there's a lot of variety of how he's played. So I think his talent diversity is pretty good in pro play, which will also allow you to play him in Hero League as much as you want. That's it for me. I hope you learned a little bit about Volskaya and enjoyed the game. Again, if you want to see the hilarious ending with casting, tune into the VODs because that was definitely a highlight for me. And I had a good laugh when I saw how it ended in replay, and I watched the VOD immediately. So yeah, that was pretty cool. Again, thank you very much. Thank you very much for watching, as always. I hope to see you soon, and you have a good one. Bye bye.